Denza is part of the BYD Auto group, and they make several cars in several price ranges, but Denza is supposed to be the premium range, the premium brand. Wants to compete with the likes of Audi, Mercedes, BMW, think that kind of category. The BYD brand in general has more of a Volkswagen feel. It's a big group of many brands underneath, and this the premium version. Welcome to a new review by Autogefühl. Today with me, Peter, and the Denza N7. As you can see, no grille because this is electric. There are some styling elements here for the daytime running lights, no real vents, but your obligatory parking sensors, your cameras, and so on. I think it's a smart looking car, not just for an electric car, just in general. It looks pleasant. These organic shapes, obviously for maximum aero efficiency. It has a almost 100 kilowatt hour battery, so plenty of range. They claim well over 500, approaching 600 kilometers of range. We have to see if that is true, obviously, in the real world drive review. 4 meters 86 long. It's a nice long wheelbase with the battery down low. Charging here on the side with a maximum capacity of 230 kilowatts. So that is plenty fast. Will charge the battery up nice and quick in your pit stops. Swooping element here going into the braking lights and the tail lights. A little spoiler here. And actually it is functional because there is a dip. I don't know if you can see my hand through here, but wind is actually guided through this hole out here in the back, again for maximum aero efficiency, because obviously electric cars are all about efficiency, and this is something that actually has a function. Nice brake light integrated in here on the top. So let's check the frunk, if there is a frunk. Yes, there is. It's actually pretty decent. More than plenty of space to put your charging cables, maybe some washer fluid that you can actually refill right over here, and maybe a few other things. It is lined with felt on the bottom, or actually no, it isn't. There's a little doormat here on the bottom, but the rest is hard plastic. So, you know, if you put stuff in there that might move around, it is going to rattle, which will be annoying. But this is a good space. This is well done. Soft materials up here. Then the wood inlays, again, that's definitely a luxury associated feature. Moving down the door, it's again all soft on the touch points. And what I really like, real buttons. They keep things traditional where necessary, because this just works better. Some cars have touchscreens here. I don't think that works at all. This is something that is nice to work with. Also looks great. Moving inside the car, you can see it's the same nice light interior, which I think is very good because it opens up the car. It gives an air of space. Like I said before, I think if you get this in full dark, it gets a bit claustrophobic in here because the windows are not that big. But I'm happy to see when we do move in, we have real switchgear. Continuing the theme from the door, there is actual buttons here on the steering wheel. The design, I'm not 100% sure of with this extra hole here, with this extra design element, but it's a good size with a little bit of a flat bottom, and then you have the real buttons here. All your information really is here. You can customize the look and layout of this driver's display as you see fit, of course. So your main interaction will take place here in the center screen, your navigation, and most of your car controls. You can see here on the bottom, you have a few standard things always here, like fan speed, temperature, and so on. You got your music, and it's all obviously configurable the way you want it with split screens and so on. But with the interface, it has everything that you can imagine. Obviously, anything from cameras to music to your voice assistant, navigation, and so on. Luckily, this is not the only interaction you can do, because if we move down this central tunnel past the inductive charging pads, you also have, I wouldn't call them buttons, but physical interaction pieces, so you will. So these are haptic buttons. So there's a sensor underneath this whole sort of plastic wooden thing. So they click, you get a bit of haptic feedback. We have a button that opens up, nice split design, and this actually goes quite deep. You can see I can stick almost my whole arm in there. Then, last but certainly not least, we have another display here on the passenger side. You can always ask yourself if that is really necessary or not, but it is an option at least. Up here, there's a little slider, which you might recognize from your laptop, because if we slide this, there's a camera, which is maybe a bit redundant, you might think, but bear with me, if we go back here to the screen and we go to camera, we have our front-facing camera obviously facing out, but we can switch cameras here, and then it's me and the cameraman. So this is very handy for people that use this car maybe as an Uber gig, or if you want to record some funny videos of yourself driving, then this is a great tool that you can switch around with and film who is actually in the car. And obviously when you close the shutter, you don't see anything. Here in the back, no word yet on terms of animal-friendly solutions or other interior choices. That is unavailable at the time of filming. But you can get an idea about the design. These swooshing lines, nice, soft on the top, also nice, soft on the other contact points. And as we like to test here, there's rubber inside the storage bin and there's felt on the other side, on the outside of it. So that is nice, nothing will rattle about there. An electric architecture, we have a completely flat floor, so no transmission tunnel in the middle. I'm 183 and about 90 kilos, gives you a bit of an idea of how much space there is here. This is vast. This is more than ample for anybody. Tall adults, no problem. Same thing goes for the headroom. I have about this much space left above my head with 1.83 meters. This has the panoramic roof, which I'm sure will be an option. We have the flat floor like I mentioned, so there's no transmission tunnel here in the middle. I can sit here just fine, but the seat is obviously a lot harder and a lot less comfortable than these sort of nicely contoured seats here on the side. So sitting here in the middle is possible, but certainly not for longer journeys. Now, as a parent, obviously I have to think about kid seats all the time. Crucial there is the ISOFIX mounting points here. You can see the clips saying ISOFIX and you have to push them in actually. So some car manufacturers have these as a pull system that you then obviously lose, but this clicks in nicely, so you don't even have to mess with them. You can just push the pins in for the ISOFIX. There's some adjustment available here in the back row, but it's not electric or anything. You have to do it manually. It's with the same clip as you use to fold the seats completely flat. You can use that to adjust the angle to your liking. So you can sit upright if you want to for a bit more space in the boot, but you can also push it all the way down. Then we have some USB chargers here, a USB-A and a USB Type-C. We got some vents, no screens or anything, but you do have your seat heating controls here for both sides. A little bit of storage here, and as well on the other side, obviously. Not much going on in front of you. There is a hole here to look through the seat. Not really sure why you want that, because then you're looking into the neck of the person in front of you. That doesn't sound very nice. These seats are also contoured, but a little bit bulky. So if you're small and you sit here, it is maybe a bit hard to see past these seats. The same goes for the window. It's relatively small, and you can see me sitting here. It is shoulder height high. So that can get a little bit claustrophobic, especially for kids that sit here. If they have a bit of a booster, they sit a bit higher, which is fine, but they're also shorter, obviously. So that can be a thing to consider. Opening the window, let's see if it goes all the way down. Yes, that's good. I always hate it when windows only go down this far. I don't understand. So this is great. Other than that, you can see the lining here, nice and soft with the panoramic roof that I already mentioned, and a little bit of extra light here that actually is touch sensitive to make it go brighter. Sleeping pillow. So you can actually put that here and sit or sleep even more comfortable. In the boot, we have a little cubby hole for your charging cables. It's not much, but it's at least something. It's a good place to store them, even though when you have a lot of luggage in here and you need to charge, it's going to be underneath. So that is annoying. When you put this down though, you have a flat loading lip, which is great. You got a few storage thingies here. You got some extra hooks. Here, you got a power plug. You got another hook here and another coming out for your shopping basket. Very handy, and some illumination. 480 liters as is. Obviously, we're going to get the tape measure out to give you an idea. That is just over a meter and just under a meter with 99 centimeters. You can see that you pull and you push, and obviously the same on that side. Not electric, but this does give you quite a lot more room. And BYD claims that this is now 1200 liters. So that is actually significantly bigger, and you can use I wouldn't say you can transport your surfboards in it, but there's ample space for the occasional move. So some first driving impressions for you. Unfortunately, we are not able to leave the test track. We are restricted to the small lab we have here, so we can't take it into the real world. But it is actually quite, technical here, so we can find a few things out in terms of how this car feels. Starting with the seating comfort, this seat is actually very nice. It's quite supportive, a little bit on the shoulders here as well, and overall it's a pleasant place to sit. The front window is not too big, but there is enough light coming in. I think this light interior also helps with that. And overall, your overview of your cockpit is actually quite nice with the big screen in the middle. You can sit nice and comfortable here and still reach the controls back or down here. So overall, your place in the car is actually quite nice. All the batteries are down low, most of the weight is down low, which obviously greatly improves the handling characteristics of any car. And this car is also not that big in terms of wheelbase and size, so your placing on the road is quite nice and easy, and doesn't really depend how fast you're going. It's always nice and compliant. It's not a race car obviously by any means, despite its big battery capacity, but you can place this well, you can steer this nicely into corners without any kind of drama, which is obviously to be expected, because this, like I said, it's not a race car, it's a family car. There is a nice bit of punch from the electric motors, exactly what you can expect. It's not a crashy fast that you fly and you laying on the back seat. It's a whoosh fast. It's nice without making your passengers sick. So we'll have to wait for the full driving review when we get a unit for maybe a whole day in the real world to tell you a bit more about how it handles in the real world. But what we can find out here on this short test track is actually that it's a nice and compliant car that doesn't do anything crazy or unpredictable, but it still gives you a very smooth driving experience altogether, both for the powertrain, but also for the steering. Everything is predictable and everything does exactly what you expect it to do, which I think is exactly what you want from this kind of vehicle. If you want a race car, obviously you're going to go for that, but this has all the performance you'll ever need with all the compliance that you want.